Hello and welcome to Stitches and Slapdashery, #Slowvember. This month we're going to be doing a daily craft or activity that's going to help us be more mindful and slow down a little bit and appreciate the season. And it's going to include crafts and baking and walks. And I'm going to be picking a card each day from this box, which I put together a week or two ago. And I will be doing whatever the card says. So I have my cup of tea ready. I have my box ready. And we're going to open it and see what day one holds. I love all these papers I used. I cut them, I can't even remember. It was about 5 by 3.5 or something. And I put them into this old note card box. And it just makes me happy to do that. Simple pleasures, right? Okay, today's card says, make mini bunting from felt triangles and simple running stitch. Hang it up. Yes, this is an idea I saw online. And it's kind of a way of doing bunting, which is low commitment, and we can do all in one session or one day without feeling stressed about it. So let's go grab what we need. I'm going to need some template placemat from the dollar store. This was $2 from Dollarama. I love using it for templates. And this is my huge pile of felt, none of which I paid for. It was all a gift, for which I am grateful. So we have that. And obviously I will need something to sew it to and sew it with. So here are my needles. And let me go figure out what I'm going to attach them to. This piece of ribbon was in the stash. It's a little twisted about and crushed, but it's a good length. It's probably about 2.5 feet long, maybe about 70 centimeters long. And I'm going to sew the little triangles on with this neutral colored DMC floss. I'll split it probably in half, 3 strands each, or maybe 2. I'll see when I get there. It doesn't have to be symmetrical, because life is not symmetrical, is it? So I'm just going to, let me see. I will grab a ruler for the edges. All right, maybe I won't, because I can't find my little ruler. I'm going to use the edge of this. I'm just going to use this to draw the straight edges, but I'm not going to worry about whether the edges are exactly at the same degrees. Yeah, that would be pretty wonky. Hang on a minute. How small do I want to go with these? I want it to be fairly proportional here. Proportional. How's that? Is that as mini enough? Yeah, I think so. Thank you, Inktense Pencil Tin. All right, let's just grab this old pair of scissors. These are not my good fabric scissors, I promise you. Although I have to say, even my good fabric scissors are feeling a little rough just lately. I should probably get them sharpened. Okay, I'm not going to talk through this whole next bit because it's going to take a while to cut some triangles out, so I'll just speed this part of the video up and not talk so that you can see me get it done. estimated that I could probably fit 10 of them along this ribbon, but I've gone with 9 because I do love odd numbers. And I'm just going to start attaching them without any measuring with this embroidery floss. And I seem to have misplaced my little orange-handled snippy scissors, so we're going to be using the big scissors to cut this. Yeah, I think I'll go with 3 strands because I want it to be nice and visible. Stitching. I'd love to know how you split your DMC. Sometimes I try and do this and split it by holding these 2 sides in one hand and then running my finger down between. I've seen somebody do that successfully, but normally I get in a tangle. So what I usually end up doing is sticking one side in my mouth and the other side in my right hand, and then holding the left strand like that until they separate neatly. Because otherwise it just gets all tangled on itself, doesn't it? Let's get that pen out of the way. It's already splattered ink all over my thumbnail. All right, I suppose I should leave a little bit for tying at each end, shouldn't I? So maybe what I'll do is I'll just space them about 1 centimetre apart and then leave a little bit at the beginning and end. All right, let's just start with like that much at the beginning and then come up through there. I love this grey one. It's got a really interesting texture, this felt. Now, do I want the felt triangles on the front of the ribbon or on the back of the ribbon? I think on the front. I'm pretty sure the one I saw online, you could see the stitching through the felt. I'm terrible. I see these ideas online and I don't always remember to save them. Oh, good grief, I've got it around the ribbon. And so I have to just kind of remember how to make it. I'm like that with recipes sometimes as well. I'll find a great recipe online. I might even make it, but then I don't always save where I found it. I can't go back to it. Oh yeah, that works. So remember, this is all about being mindful. It's not a rushing thing. So every now and again, put down your work and admire it, and then pick it up and carry on. So my 9 triangles didn't fill this, so I think I'm going to do a couple more. I tried to pick the colours that would appear mostly in nature in the fall. Okay, this orange is pretty bright, but there's greens and yellows and browns. And that grey I couldn't resist just because I thought it was cool. So what other 2 triangles shall I add? The ones I've got in my pile on my left are all not really appropriate. So let's go back to the ones I've already used. I already duplicated one of the colours, didn't I? Didn't I? Oh, I thought I had duplicated one of the colours, and it looks like I haven't. Oh yeah, this one, these ones. So maybe I will add, I like this green. I'll add another of this olivey green and maybe another orange. I have hardly any of the orange felt left, but this is the time of year to use it, isn't it? I think what I'm going to do with this little bunting is I'm going to hang it up in my kitchen window. I'm just going to stick it to the kitchen window at each end and let it hang there, and so I can admire it every day. I filled my kitchen windowsill with some bits and pieces. I made a ton of felt pumpkins a while ago that you might have seen in a previous video. I've also got some real little squashes that I got from the farmer's market the other day. They were on for $1 a pound, so I got 5 small squashes that are edible. And so once I decide to take them off the windowsill, we can bake them and eat them. There's probably not going to be a lot of flesh inside, but at least they are useful decorations, not just for show. And there's the garland I wore at the festival in September. I stretched that out, and all the lovely orange flowers are just looking perfect on my windowsill. And then I added some chestnuts and conkers or horse chestnuts and some other bits and pieces I had lying around just because I thought it looked good. And it just makes my heart sing every time I look at my kitchen windowsill. I took the curtains down. Curtains don't really do a lot of use, except maybe in the summer when it really is bright. The overhang of the roof keeps the worst of it out, but there's still a lot of reflected sunlight. But in the winter, it's not a lot of use. And they were just looking a bit cruddy, so I took them off, washed them, and now I've just got the windowsill decor. So what I will do is I'll add my bunting to my window. I have to be so careful with these needles. The lovely Joan sent me these, and I always make sure to put them back in their little pod so that I don't mix them up with my other hand sewing needles, and so I don't lose them. I'm really bad at dropping pins and needles in the carpet here in my sewing room and then ending up finding them with my foot. Okay, that worked out. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, yeah, 11 of them. There. Can you see all that in one go? Yes, you can. Almost. Let's get the felt out of the way because I want to show you a couple more things I'm working on, seeing as we're here. Oh man, that's a lot of felt. So here's today's craft. mini bunting from felt triangles. Very easy, very relaxing, low stress, low cost. And I'm going to put that card down now to the bottom of the box. And I'll add this template to one of my little bags. I have a couple of little bags hanging up near my sewing table. One has all the bits for Kool, Kooky, Kreatures, Tori's Robin. And the other one has lots of templates that I made for making my little felt pumpkins, 4 different sizes. So maybe I'll add the triangle to the pumpkin bag. And I can hang those back up again. You can hear rattling when I'm knocking the table. It's my set of gel pens. They do love to rattle in their case. So while we're here, let me show you my works in progress, because I'm sure I'll be working on them throughout the month of November. I absolutely love this fabric. It's got foxes and squirrels and toadstools, and it seems very appropriate for Slowvember. Acorns, mushrooms, hedgehogs, love it. And this is an ongoing thing that I've never even shown on the vlog, because it's such a simple thing, such a basic thing. But this is I'm going out somewhere and I don't know if I'm going to be sitting around waiting, and I might want something to do with my hands project. So this is some cotton yarn. I think it's probably Drops Paris that I bought white. I bought a ton of it white, and I practiced some yarn dyeing, and this was just with RIT. It's not a special yarn dyeing thing. It was just RIT dye for cotton. And I think it was the time I was doing my apron and did a couple of other things at the same time. And so I can easily just put this little Japanese knot bag over my wrist to carry it when I'm walking, if I go walking on my own, or just take it out with me. I took it out with me to the hospital when I took my friend for an MRI the other morning. And it's really simple stitch pattern. I'm just doing single crochet and double crochet alternated. And then on the next row, you're doing the double crochets into the singles and the singles into the doubles. And it makes this really lovely bumpy texture. And as you can see, the dye isn't solid either, which also I find rather lovely. So you get this lovely, interesting texture in the dye as well. So having that with me when I'm out and about, I really should put a stitch marker in there, shouldn't I? Because it might get unraveled by mistake, but if it does, it doesn't really matter. So that's my little ongoing work in progress that I haven't even made a Ravelry project page for or shown you before, because it's just so basic. And then the other work in progress is this one. This is taking some time. It's DK yarn. Get the project bag out the way. I probably should stuff everything inside it, shouldn't I? It's DK yarn. It's Loops and Threads Delicate DK in, can I remember the name of that? Hang on. What colour is it? Beacon blue and white. The pattern is Snowfall Socks by Dora Does. And I had a little issue with this a while back, because I realised after I had done the first round of bobbles and the next 3 rounds, I realised I had lost 10 stitches on each one. I'm doing them concurrently to avoid second sock syndrome. These are slipper socks. And so I had to rip back 3 rounds, which was very demoralising, because I find small crochet with dark yarn, and it's a stitch pattern where you're doing single crochet in the back loop and the front loop alternated, and you're doing turned rounds so that you don't get the wandering seam problem. So there are 2 ends for each bobble, because she said not to strand it. because you want to maintain the stretch of the socks and not have loops to catch your toes. So I'm being a good girl and following her instructions. But it's a little slow going, those bobble rounds, and I have to concentrate. So she does 6 rounds of snowballs before she starts on the foot. I'm only going to do 3 because otherwise I know what will happen. It'll get to be languishing in my project bag indefinitely. I'm glad I bought 2 balls of the blue because it means it's easy to have 1 ball per slipper sock. The crochet hook size I'm using is 3.75, and then there's a smaller hook for the ribbing part, like they call it ribbing, you know, crochet ribbing. Where's the other hook gone? I know it's in here. Here it is. So the 2.75 is for just the ribbing, a little bit of ribbing around the top of the leg. So those are my 2 works in progress on the crochet front. I don't have any knitting projects on the go. And I also, I almost forgot. Let me just have a slurp of tea and I'll show you my slow stitching. I started another slow stitching project. This scroll, hang on, I need to reach over the arm of the ring light so that I can get it. This scroll here is one I made just recently. And it's, I thought I made these 2 the same width. Maybe I did. I think it's about 2 1/4 wide by 24 inches. And I made this little scroll holder or spool with a thread spool and some buttons and some felt. And I just loved it so much. And it was, even though it's slow stitching, it was a quick project because there wasn't a lot of surface area to sew. And I decided to make another one. Now this spool, thread spool, was the perfect size for these buttons. But I had quite a few smaller thread spools, empty thread spools that I had saved, but Gutermann ones, and I made another one. So this one has a button that wedges into the bottom of the thread spool very neatly. So I glued that in there, and then I glued one to cover the top side. And this has just got a little bit of wrapping and a little bit of felt hot glued around it. And this is what's going to be attached around it once I'm done. Let's just have, let's see, I'll try and bring it up closer. So I've done quite a bit of the stitching on it already. This is just one day. I started this yesterday. And I've already covered most of it with stitching. I pulled out my quilting cotton bin that has the browns in, the brown fabrics, and built up that little bit of fabric and started stitching with my DMC embroidery flosses. So I've just got a small amount to do, like a couple of areas to fill in here and a little bit at this end. And then I can back it. I'm going to back it with this fabric. There's a little bit of this fabric in it. So there's a little bit right here and another little bit over here. And I'm going to cut a strip so that the lines go that way on the back of there. And I think this time I'll probably blanket stitch it. I whip stitched the other one, and I'll be the first to admit it was a bit messy looking. It took a long time. It took over 2 hours to whip stitch around that thing, which is crazy really. It's such a tiny amount to cover. But it's not about the time it takes, it's about the satisfaction you get out of it. And on that note, we'll finish day 1 of Slowvember. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you look carefully, you'll see my fall slow stitching project is hanging on the wall right here, and there's some leaves hanging up over here. I set up a little clothesline across that closet area where I keep a lot of fabric, and I've hung my fall leaves, including the one I mended the other day. So I'm really having a lot of fun with this, and I hope you join me every day for more Slowvember activities. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.